If you do not live under a rock, you're political conscious, you are in tune with what's happening in the news, even if you don't like the news. This is the kind of headline that follows you. You don't have to be interested in the happenings in the country. This one permeates every crevice, every nook and cranny to remind you that in Rivers State, a reconciliation is underway. The governor and the FCT minister have decided to talk, and it was mediated. The umpire, the referee, was our own president. Now, we're not quite certain of the conditions given at that engagement, even though we've seen a list here and there. Of course, it is still up for verification. But following that engagement, the governor has done a few things. He has addressed his supporters, and the latest is that he dissolved his key political support groups, including the popular Simplified movement and Simplified elders. This move is widely seen as a strong gesture of reconciliation and reintegration into the political structure led by the FCT minister, Nweke. Confirming the development, a chieftain of the PDP, Nweke, told newsmen that the disbandment of the groups is part of efforts to reflect unity within the party and mend internal divisions. Nweke said the decision to dissolve the camps is a symbol of the renewed commitment to peace and cohesion within the Rivers PDP family. As you may know, the Simplified movement had become the rallying point for Fubara supporters during the height of the political crisis that rocked the state. While loyalists mobilized under the Wikimatics umbrella, observers believe that this is one of the clearest signs yet that Fubara is embracing a reconciliatory path and working towards a more unified political front. Our conversation will be anchored on the question, how important is a politician's support group, whether it's formal or informal? But as you can tell, there have been reactions to this move by the governor. Political analyst Liberos Oshoma has criticized the governor over his recent public address to his supporters regarding the peace deal, and he had a few things to say.
But I also have watched political events, and I see that no matter how irresponsible his foot soldiers are, no politician wants to publicly throw his foot soldiers under the bus. After reconciling indoor, you also need to take your team indoor and make them understand. And then, when you come out, they say, well, all issues have been resolved. Parties have, everybody, we are back to one good family. All of that will be an arrangement reached. Just the same way, whatever arrangement that Nweke and the president had with him, it's still a matter of speculation. Nobody came out outside to say, yes, he has been asked to do this. Everything is a matter of speculation.
And Oshoma said he feels sorry for the governor's supporters and cautioned young politicians to be mindful of how they align themselves during political crises.
No matter the bitterness that you think you have, never cry more than the bereaved in a political fight. Because if you do, on the day when scores will be settled, you might be thrown under the bus. Let's just assume that as a face-saving mechanism, the Simplified Fubara has come and then publicly to show to his godfather doing their bidding, he has decided to tongue lash and warn his followers publicly. I also do not think that would have been a best way to go about it. If you have issues tomorrow, nobody would want to stick out their neck for you.
Well, my guest is a professor of politics and governance from Ignatius Ajuru University of Education. He's Professor Ken Nweke, and he joins me live in the studio. Hello, Prof.
Good evening, Oracle.
How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good.
Happy reconciliation.
I'm not father, I'm not son, neither son.
Okay. Okay, it's nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
So, how do you think that the dissolution of the Simplified movement would alter the balance of power between Fubara and Nweke?
Of course, it's simple. If it means that his own political structure, because at the heart of every politician is political structures.
Yeah.
So it means that he has decided to dismantle his own political structures for the godfather political structure, where he also evolved. So he was part of Nweke's political structures, and so he evolved from there. And because of the conflict, and so he had to start his own political
movement
structure, and all of those. So now that peace has come in, and so of course that family, that political family is one, and so if you need to make a total peace, then you need to go back to status quo. That original political family, they used to have GDI, okay, and then so GDI bettered Nweke, and same family also bettered Governor Fubara, and so if the peace must assimilate very well, and so without any iota of doubt. So you must begin to demonstrate your honesty, your sincerity in that peace. And I'm sure that in addressing his supporters and then asking them to run down anything called Simplified and all that, whether elders or whatever movements, whether moving up, whether moving down, everything should be dismantled. And so it's part of the reconciliatory moves to, also confidence building, to say that I have no ambition of my own. I therefore surrender, to your total will. I have no will of mine, but your will I surrender unto. And so if you also ask, if I want to respond to what you asked about the importance of having a support base or support groups and to a politician. Of course, that's what the politician is always interested in, is succession plan. Or even before you even talk about succession plan, you're talking about consolidating, your administration, and then having a second term.
Keep it in the family.
Yes, and then you also talk about succession plan, and even they tell you, in fact, what a long ruling. That's 10 years or 10 years back. So you remember when people were saying that they were going to rule Nigeria until 50 or thereabout. They think far their lives are, in ordinary, they want to consolidate, come back for time and succession plan. And so that's of the stock. And then because one who is the godfather to continuously in power. All the time, and so you need that was intact. That's the GI. Method the FT minister when he became governor for 8 years, and also saw through the Governor Fubara. And so, if you must demonstrate that you are actually loyal, to him, and that you have offered yourself completely without any iota of doubt, then you must collapse your own structure. So in this case here now, because something has happened and the man was able to put up his own structure in place, and the structure was a movement.
It was.
It was a movement that was between whoever and Rivers people. See movement, I can tell you. History of Rivers State, I haven't seen that kind of movement, before. So yes, the movement, but the number of people that followed him then, against Amechi, he can't compare it with the number that followed Governor Fubara today. Because if you look at that structure, that movement, Simplified, it's not just about maybe breakaway GDI members, okay? No, or PDP members. It's you also have new entrants from APC, the Nweke Amechi group, or other political parties, membership, and other non-members of political parties. It was really a movement. If you ask me, it was Rivers people versus any other person in its entirety. And so now, looking at the enormity of that force, that movement, that transcended beyond the political family or a party thing. So to have surrendered it completely to the will of the Godfather means so much, So ordinarily, it's not something any politician will toil with. But for him to have done that, of course, having been able to push with even the massive support that he had, and of course against certain institutions, against the instruments of the state, and so the tide was against him from the instruments of the instrumentality of the state. But for the people we have been with him. But I can tell you that even since he made that announcement, okay, he must have lost over 60% support base. I mean, as it stands now, even from when he went to Royal House of Grace Church, okay, a bit people were able to manage. He lost some good percentage when he made that statement at Royal, that church, and then a bit people had some reason to remain, but in terms of spirit, even physical, a lot of people have given up, either to say there's no need, to continuously, support politicians, or even giving their lives because of the interest of their own collective interest. And so it's a huge sacrifice, I must tell you, that he made for the interest of peace. And remember that he has always said that there is nothing so much, that to be compared, no price too much to pay.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those prices, I guess he meant at the time.
Well, we have a break coming up in literally about a minute. There's a part of me that feels that the governor cannot completely take credit for the strength of that movement. There is a part of it that seemed organic, that may not necessarily have been through his effort, but the admiration of his position, right? It's like what people call sympathy vote. That's one side. Secondly, was this the only option on the table? Well, it's close to impossible to answer that question, but couldn't there have been a cohesion and synergy with the existence of both groups? Because, Professor Nweke, I have 30 seconds now, it's like a very wealthy father who has a big house, he's well-to-do, and then he expects that when his sons marry, they still live in that house because it is a big house. Meanwhile, the sons might want to leave that place and go and set up their own empire somewhere. So could it have been impossible for the Nweke and Sim movement to coexist, synergize, and have cohesion? After the break, we answer that question. Please stay with us.
For more talk, news,
Welcome back. The dissolution of the Simplified movement is a headline. The importance of a support base or group is the focus. And Professor Ken Nweke is the guest. You're welcome once again, Professor.
Good evening, Oracle and listeners.
Would it have been out of place for both groups to coexist, the Nweke-Matic, the GDI, whatever it's called, and the Simplified movement, even as a reconciliation happens?
If you ask me, it isn't possible.
Why?
It wouldn't be possible ordinarily in the circumstance. If it was ordinarily that there were no issues, they were all running, and of course you know that the politics of River State under Nweke is different from what obtains in other states, and so when once he's in control, he's in control, and he wants everything, and nothing, and so. It couldn't have been possible ordinarily in other states. Of course, you have a governor, a sitting governor, would ordinarily have his own structures, leading to maybe the end of his first term. Okay, and there will always be a marriage between the previous structure that brought him to power.
Yeah.
And the new structure.
He has created.
And so those who may not be able to find themselves into that new structure can go into opposition or oblivion, so to say. And so that's how politics is played in other states. And of course, while doing that kind of thing, you may be not in conflict with whoever, your godfather or whatever. Or whether in conflict or out of conflict, that's the normal thing that ought to be. So your new political family or structure or whatever or movement will just swallow the political platform that brought you to power, and then you run with them. Okay, either you are running in disagreement with the political platform that brought you before, or you are running on your own. But that's not the case here, and of course, because there's a problem between the father and the son. And so probably that bettered the Simplified movement. And now, ordinarily that...
A child of circumstance.
Yes, it was a child of circumstance.
Yeah.
And so now that peace has returned, of course, they cannot exist side by side. Otherwise, because if you listen to FCT minister, he's been talking about the political family.
Yeah.
Meaning that in his very dear heart is that political family. And so anything you want to do to take away that political family, then he will not take it from you. And so you could not expect anybody to say side by side, Simplified movement will be there with GDI and all that. No. You are making a mistake. In fact, you are living in the past. That's impossible. And of course, if in the very circumstances that the governor or suspended governor found himself or finds himself, that cannot exist. So if that would even exist, it will be an understanding between him and the godfather, probably towards the end of his administration, assuming there was a smooth relationship between them. And so that they could still have that name, because if you ask me what Nweke will want is something that he started that will last for God knows how long, even in death, you should continue and all that. And those who believe in that struggle or in that movement should continue it, and all of those, except somehow, they are able to fall out from that original family. And so he wants to maintain it. And those who know him, and those of us who are on this side, watching, the whole scene, we know him to be one man who wants his family to remain intact. And so nobody should even pray that Governor Sim should side by side have Simplified movement. It cannot work. So, but the only challenge I have with the public announcement that he made was the manner he communicated to his followers. It's simple. I don't know. and I think that's part of his problem, that he needs to probably, he doesn't know how to manage, some of his outbursts and all that, emotions and all of those. So it's a simple matter. If I were in his shoes, what will I do? Oh, guys, we have reconciled and we are together. You remember, like he also said, that it's one political family, that we are all moving in that same direction. So, of course, you should also understand that in that political family, not in that his new political family that he has decided to collapse now, that not only members of GDI and PDP members, there are some other new entrants, and even those who didn't have any political affiliation before, all joined forces in this new movement. To understand that you can't just say we have returned back to status quo. Of course, other people, if you return back to status quo, the number of them, if you ask me, more than 60% that joined him or joined that movement. So where would they go?
GDI was not their status quo.
No, it's not status quo. Yeah. And so when you say, by default, status quo, and of course, you lose the rest of followership. You understand? And so even if he does not have political ambition tomorrow to say, oh, he just has one term to finish, but he has a life, of a tenure to assert himself to, to tell himself that, yes, he was governor of Rivers State between 2023 and midway, 6 months or less, then 2027. Are you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he needed to make that, to own that. It does not matter whether he has any political ambition anymore. So because followership remains followership. And let me also let you know, or let listeners also understand, and even himself or whoever that is listening, that it is...
This always sound like warning. What?
No, it's not warning. It's not a warning, but that I just want to make people understand.
Yeah.
That even the FCC minister, and you see, if he has the combination of the followership of Simplified and the GDI, I tell you, he has already conquered the state. So it will be very, very difficult ordinarily, to outsmart these numbers. Even with the APC, of course, APC is on one side, you understand? So a combination of the APC, the PDP, and the Simplified movement in the state, who are very, very active in politics. Of course, if he has all of this, you don't need to make any other move than just little activate, and then you get it, So, but unfortunately, the manner in which he communicated to his followers would suggest that he has abandoned them. But even if you hear him or heard him also say that, I will not abandon you. So he cannot appropriate and reprobate at the same time. Okay? So you can't say you dissolve. No, ordinarily, they ought to know that Simplified movement cannot exist side by side GDI. Are you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but you don't need to say you disband them. Or even when you want to say you disband them, like I said, it's simple to say, oh, gentlemen, whatever political movements that we have had, at this point, we have to collapse them for the political family, the larger political family that we have had. And every interest, including new entrants and all that, into that movement. Probably conversations are on, at that larger leadership level to ensure that reintegration, is being worked out. The reintegration process is being worked out to ensure that everybody is carried along. When they defect, they tell them, oh, your sins are forgiven you, and that everything, every right that you have, you have them back. If I think that nothing had happened before, and so going forward, you're as clean as being washed, in the River Jordan and all that. And so why not also, make some statements that could suggest that it's one family, like you also said that, oh, the Godfather or whatever would address them at the appropriate time. So I think it was a poor communication, that he has had. And I think that if he also understood what happened in Royal House of Grace before, and then to guard against probably impressing whoever by publicly denouncing and demoralizing his followers. If you check between that day and now, for free, I'll tell you, he has lost 60% support base. And of course, what people are waiting for is to see if there is, an opening, a political movement that will be as strong as or even stronger than what he started. Like you also said, Oracle, it was not about him. But again, it was also, I will also say it was also about him, because the things he said, agreed totally with the interest of the people, because he was saying, like, look, money for Rivers State means money for Rivers people, and that he would use their resources for them. And so that was what actually brought up, energized a lot of people, to come out en masse to support him. And so you cannot also look at all of those massive support and you want to address them and you are not properly, addressing them, because they will always, be happy, to go into the new group. But again, people are also afraid, because when you have this other group coming to the old group, some people may be displaced.
Yeah.
And so some politicians may not be interested in, new entrants, especially the big weights.
There'll be collateral damage.
Yes, and all that to come in. And so they will want, a way to push these things aside so that they will continuously, usurp political powers against the people. But the more, the merrier for them, if they understand the times that we are in.
Well, it's time for you to be a part of the conversation. My question is, do you think dissolving the Simplified movement was an act of peace or surrender? And also, how important do you believe that a political support base is to a politician? My guest has done justice to answering that question, but I'd like to hear your perspective as well. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 080-903-06. 416. We're live Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. You can watch, listen, and engage. Ayanaya Emmanuel says, Chimo Nsobudikwa, if I may ask, what will their fate be? Now, no good. Okay, speaking about the Simplified members. And Sibran Njoku says the dissolving of Simplified group is a welcome development, at least to show sincerity on the reconciliation. Charles Egbebu on Facebook still says the governor has realized that the Simplified movement was established to monitor monetary and political gains by some one people. I don't get that. Braid calls from Ojari. Hello, Braid. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to the guests.
Good evening.
My name is Chief Comrade. I am Braid.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, the dissolution of the same movement. Well, for me, the way and manner the suspended governor approached the whole thing, for me, it's a bitter pill to those that belong to those groups. It's a very bitter pill that it's just like your child. Your child was doing well for you. He was doing everything humanly possible that you are going to succeed. Suddenly, you collaborate with people and kill that child. The child couldn't die. The child resuscitates himself and come back to life. What do you think that child will do to the father? So I feel that the suspended governor did not do well.
Okay.
And he has rubbed the face of Rivers people in the mud. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clinton calls from Bori. Hello, Clinton. Good evening.
Sam Oracle.
Good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
Evening.
You see, people should not criticize the governor for making that move. What he did it sincerely for the purpose of genuine peace and reconciliation. Now, we are in an era where people just criticize just for purpose of getting something from it or benefiting from the crisis. Listen, Simplified movement, yes, they are supporters of the governor, but they are now part of a bigger family. It happened to us when Senator Magnus Abe decided to work with the FCT minister, it was not easy to accept. It was never easy to accept. But we saw the bigger picture. And today, we are all part of the renewed hope family in River State. That is what is completed here. It must not be PDP members. Like your guest said, they are APC members and other stalwarts in River State. Yes, that makes the political family more bigger and enlarged. So the Simplified movement should give peace a chance and work with the renewed hope family in River State so that we can ensure the return of President Tinubu in 2027.
Okay. Thank you very much, Clinton. Emeka calls from Elele. Hello, Emeka. Good evening.
Yes, Oracle. Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to sincerely advise the Simplified movement that they should please, if they are sincere, working with Fubara, there is anything that is too big, price that is too big to pay. They should join him and make peace. Except they want to turn themselves to enemy of the state. Because if their master moves, you have to follow him if you love him genuinely. Because there is no way they can do it again. Water don't pass a galley. Sin cannot do anything again. So even the Simplified elder, they were not there positioning themselves eating money. They were not even fighting anything. They are political retirees. They are waiting for their pension. So there's not like a Simplified elder. They cannot, even most of them cannot go to their ward and win one unit. So they do position on the voice, the young man's back to collect from him to fight Nweke. Because they are enemy of Nweke. They want to use opportunity now to fight. Most of them cannot win one unit. They are just there collecting money from him up and down, jumping up and down. They should please go back to Nweke Nicodemusly. Okay. He is the leader of the party and the politics of River State.
All right, thank you.
Fight it from him.
Thank you, Emeka. Let's go back to Facebook where we're live. Nwachukwu Kennedy says, good evening, everyone in the studio. As much as peace is priceless and remains paramount, I commend Governor Fubara for that move in reconciling with his predecessor. But I pity for him in the agreement being reached because it's now that he is going to see the other side of governance. Because nothing good can come out of Nazareth. Not really. Okay. Emmanuel Silvanus says there's nothing like Wike's political family. 90% of all those running around him today were with Odili. After Odili, they ran to Amechi. If Sim had defeated Nweke, all of them would have started licking Sim's feet today. The day someone dethrones Nweke, his so-called political family would run to the new person. Okay, so there are some people who have dropped comments here that are derogatory. You can express your displeasure in a civil manner. Moving on, Demo Duncan says the executive governor of River State only dissolved his sympathizers, not his supporters. His core supporters are in Wike's camp that work for his emergence as a candidate and to win the general election. Peace is a great move for the development of River State. Let's go over to WhatsApp. Good afternoon, Sam. Our people only think of development in terms of construction of roads or building. No wonder the FCT minister is neglecting the civil servants. He did the same to River State. Nigerians not only... Okay, I think this is not for this conversation. Good evening, Sam. As for the Simplified movements, I don't pity them because most of them never supported him to be governor at first. Some were just opportunistically supporting Governor Sim because of selfish interest, while we still have some crisis entrepreneurs that were making money from the whole saga. So now Governor Sim has gone back to his original family. All we want is a peaceful River State and Nigeria. Christopher Omorege says. And Kelvin Frank says, evening, Sam. I must say for free that governor's key supporters largely are those previously compromising and are the key allies of the minister of the FCT that later defected to Fubara's camp due to their rejection by Nweke, of course. No governor runs a state single-handedly, so the underlisted were on the right path to pitching tent. Disbanding the Simplified movement is not the way to go, or criticizing those individuals like Austin Obara, Celestine Mehia, Lee Meba, Peter Odili, and so on and so forth. Okay, and Kelvin says, Sam, today's my birthday. Okay, happy birthday, Kelvin. I wish you all the best. Prof, I know that the answer to this question would have to be speculative because we can't say for certain. But do you think that this move by the governor was one of the conditions given to him, or it was an action that he just volunteered to show his commitment?
Don't finish that question. It's part of. It will be part of, like you said, speculative. Of course, we are not privy to all the discussions. Okay, so all we heard was everything is now okay, and the governor said, all things being equal, that this time around we will try to sustain the tempo of the reconciliation. And so, coming to ask his supporters to disband all the movements, all the groups, and then telling them not to, those who have governorship ambition, chairmanship ambition, and councillorship ambition should drop, because of course that would suggest to you that maybe part of it didn't need to come out to say these were part of. He has never sounded that way before. Of course, any sitting governor, will be interested, and that's why they had to move to APP also. So was the APP something that different local government people decided? So you saw that APP swept. So it swept completely, apart from one local government from each year and all that. And even at that, if you look at it very well too, you also know what must have also gone there. So it means that at the heart of every governor is the local government.
That's the structure.
The structure.
It's local.
Local.
Yeah.
And so everybody, you can, the Godfather can surrender every other thing. You see the structure. He's been talking about the structure, and the structure is the local government. Because it has to do with the interface with the people, the grassroots, where the votes will come. Because don't forget, our people are scrambling for survival. At the various local governments. So once there is a new system, a new administration, of course, every other person, I like what one of those who contributed here said, that if Governor Fubara had succeeded, of course, completely, you only need some years for that political family you are talking about now.
Complete transition.
Transition. One. In their droves, they will return. And that's the nature of politicians in this part of the world.
Yeah.
So it's not driven by ideology. It's not driven by, service delivery to the people. It is about my survivor. It's about the other person's survivor. And so probably governor had gone into certain agreements, not by his own or on his own volition, okay? That he should be able to do the X, Y, Z. But indirectly, we should be, in the upcoming days, we should be hearing more of the things that he may be doing, or his actions or inactions that will suggestive that, that will make it speculative. Because be sure, very sure, that nobody will come out to tell you what discussions were. Because between himself and the Godfather, there must be some discussions, personal to them.
Definitely.
Then if you leave that to between the two and the president and every other the president, there is another level. Okay. Some discussions will go on there. Then amongst them with other stakeholders, enlarged stakeholders, it will be another level of knowledge. Are you going to say?
Yes, I do.
So the more you look, the less you see.
Okay. So, oh my! I had no idea caption was. Okay, he's not there anymore. Thankful. I thought he was on hold for that long. Okay, I may be able to squeeze in just one call as we wrap up the conversation and get the recommendations from our guest about how to make this work. Asetico A on WhatsApp says, "Greetings. Talking about the governor is an insult and abuse to my mental health. Why? I've never seen a man desperate stands for nothing like the governor. He had been captured and thus does not have a mind of his own." That's Asetico A. Okay, Chima's my final call. Chima, can you do it in 1 minute?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Oracle, and I greet your guest.
Okay, go ahead.
I like the way you ruminate into this issue. I want to state it here categorically that those persons that we felt they are structured, they are not structured. Rather, because they took an advantage of a small rupture that happened between father and the son. So they are interlopers. And the governor has said in his own solicitude to understand that these people are not people for him. That is why in the church there, he told them that your hearts are like charcoal. And he came back and told them that again, that if you are thinking that you want to come and use me to become local government chairman, to make you understand, the man has understood that he has been used as a handbag by these persons that are enemies of the Nweke that look for small opportunity to come and stabilize the state. But lo and behold, thank God that he has realized himself, and there were those who weren't any structure at any point in time.
Okay, Chima.
They are enemies of River State.
Thank you very much. Thank you. He says they are not structured, but they took advantage of rupture. That's quite poetic. After the break, we wrap up. Stay with us.
You are tuned in to